Right, hello, this is Jenny from the A to Z of Emotional Health Online Library, and I am delighted to be joined by Ellen Rondina, who is a #1 best-selling author of Self-Care Revolution. So welcome, Ellen, and thank you very much for making a contribution to the library.
Absolutely.
So can you tell me a little bit about your book? Why revolution? Why do we need a self-care revolution?
Yes, so revolution can be very cliche, but we need a revolution. Here's the two biggest pieces of why I titled it this way. The first piece is that I believe we need to turn wellness and self-care on its head and fit our lives and our work into self-care instead of the other way around. So that is revolutionary.
Yeah.
And the other piece is that we need to do this together. So typically we think self-care, we think individual, and I think that's a mistake. So I think we have to support one another in our self-care in order to be successful. So those are the two biggest revolutionary pieces, Jenny.
Okay, actually that leads me beautifully into my kind of next questions, or two of my questions, because one, I was curious as to who this book is actually for, and also in many ways why it would be different. And I guess you've started to tell us a little bit about why it's different. I have to say, I love that you're turning that on its head and making self-care not just almost like an isolated kind of process. So many people, I think, are thrown by the idea of self-care being just about me, and it almost goes against their beliefs. If they are a giving person, a caring person, it kind of creates a conflict in those core beliefs, and it sets up a real challenge rather than being something that they can embrace because it feels good to be involved in self-care. So I love that you made that point. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes. So this is for, in the subtitle, at the end of the subtitle, it's for helping professionals. So this is for teachers and social workers, mental health professionals, healthcare providers, clergy, first responders, and other, other healing practitioners and coaches and leaders. I've been talking with HR directors and those who are coaching and leading others. So this is for people who are on the front lines of what's going on in the world for other people. So all of the struggles, and fear and sometimes violence and all of the things that are happening on the front lines in our communities. And these are the folks that are dealing with all of that directly. And those are who, I wrote this book for.
Brilliant. I'm going to say that is so needed. Okay, Ellen, I am so pleased that you have actually highlighted who you're writing this book for, because I have worked with so many people who are on the cutting edge of people professions, and they burn out so easily. Their focus is always on the delivery of the quality of the care. They work 600% all of the time. They're giving, and it is so hard to find ways to enable them to actually really embrace self-care without feeling guilty about considering themselves.
Yeah. And not even just the feeling guilty part, but actually taking the time, having the time, finding the time, to do anything towards your self-care. Yeah, it's very challenging.
I think this is such a needed area in the world. What actually inspired you to write the book? I mean, what kind of led you into this?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. So I think it was long in coming in my life, because I've been practicing self-care literally since I was a child in many ways. Wow. And had a very early burnout at 16. And so I've been on a path of self-care. And so because of that, I've been able to observe, in my workplaces as a social worker and an educator in a lot of different work environments, I've been able to observe the culture and my colleagues over a long period of time, and really see, some what I consider to be unnecessary suffering, particularly for these people who are making such an important impact in the world. And then the other piece is this is also a direct response to the current climate in the world, the political and social upheaval, the violence and the fear that's happening. And if the folks who are on the front lines of all of that are not well and not taking care of themselves and not really thinking about self-care very differently from here on, then we're going to have even more, heartache. So really those two pieces, sort of a lifetime of self-care and a direct response to the current times.
I have to say, you're probably one of the most, in terms of starting your self-care awareness so young.
Yes.
I love that. I'm now wanting to encourage you to write a second book very specifically for youngsters. When I think about, the current climate and the educational pressure on young people in the world today, where everything is changing so fast, we're bombarded by information, we are bombarded by statistics and pressures that say you have to live up to this, you have to achieve that. I'm really wanting to encourage you to write a second book in your series, please. And I am wholeheartedly with you in terms of the current climate and, again, the pressures that are placed on the people who are delivering so much of such value to us. And we would be lost without those people in the world. And yet there is so little available in terms of information to support them directly in looking after themselves, and even in giving them permission to do so.
Yes. No, I think that's the big piece. These folks, and me included, and you included in that list of helping professionals, are seen as the people who have all the answers. We're supposed to be the superheroes. We're supposed to be on all the time. We're supposed to be well all the time. We're supposed to be fine. People are supposed to be able to come to us, with questions, and we can't do that if we're not focused on our own wellness.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's that classic situation, I think, of, if we burn out, we have nothing left to give. If we look after ourselves, we have far more to give.
Right.
But it is a tough one to embrace. It's really, really tough. Ellen, thank you so much for joining me. I have to say, I think your book is exactly what is needed right now in the world.
Thank you, Jenny. I really appreciate that.
It's a blessing that you've written it for so many people. For anyone listening to this video or watching this video or listening to the audio, in the resources page of the library, you will find links to Ellen's book page and to the resources that she offers alongside the book, which I think, just before we close, Ellen, I just want to put that in at the end, that I know there are a significant number of additional resources that you're offering people.
Yes.
So, again, a fantastic contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jenny, so much for having me.
You're very welcome.